Why? Wow, look at you. Look how beautiful you look.
I'm
glad you got the memo.
Should I wear something different, or is this okay? Is this
okay?
Perfect.
You look great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Tamy!
Hi, love.
You know, and the subject that we're going to be talking about today is also a bit taboo as such.
Yeah.
You know, I love talking about the vagina, to be honest with you.
Welcome to the Wellness podcast. We are so excited to have Tamy Vo here. She is a woman who is bold, brilliant, and truly blazing her own path, which is actually pretty cool. And we're going to get into that today. She is a creative force, a founder, an entrepreneur, and an advocate for women's empowerment, just like us. And she is defining it in a way that is different. And I think a bit taboo, as we said, as we were kind of getting on, but it's also what it means to live unapologetically. And Tamy has built her brand on authenticity, cultural pride, and the power of personal transformation, speaking a truth in a world that often encourages silence. I mean, that hits. She's not afraid to disrupt. She's not afraid to lead, and she's not afraid to show up as exactly who she is. This conversation is about identity, creativity, and courage, and we can't wait for you to hear it. So, Tamy.
Oh, that was amazing. I can't write that myself, and I'm myself.
Yeah. You can have it. I'll send it to you. We can transcribe it for you. But truly, like, as I was doing my own research and kind of like getting ready for the show, I know the two of you know each other, but you know, this is new to me, and I'm just blown away at what you've created, who you are, and how lucky we are to have people like you as women in this world to like break that silence. And it's just so silly that we don't talk about these things. It's part of our body, it's part of our evolution, and we're just like, can't say that word.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, that's one of the reasons why, like, even the tagline for Wevolva is a voice to our other lips. Like, for so long, it's like we just kept that silence shut. Like, let me just keep the peace, not say anything, and accept that whatever I'm going through, I should just keep to myself, because that's what being a lady means.
Yep.
I love that that tagline of talking about the other lips. I thought that was really cool. Sorry, I just had to say that was really cool. Yeah.
And thank you for the beautiful intro again. Like,
yes. Tamy, if you just want to tell us, like, how did you get here? How did you decide to not be silent anymore and to just bring a voice to our other lips?
Yeah. Thank you. So, I mean, it happened over like a series of things. I mean, if I think about it, like, even growing up being Asian, my parents in first generation, my parents have very much been like, don't stand out, don't really speak up, just go with it, it's fine. Like, you'll take care of it yourself. And so I've never really been raised to speak up at all. But when it came to vulva, the idea happened over, again, a series of things. I was living in Singapore for about 5 years, one of like the best times of my life. And I was in search for organic tampons. And in one of the most developed Asian countries, like, it's pretty Western there, or Westernized, I had a hard time. And I remember I finally found a store that stocked them. They were on like the bottom of the shelf. Like, I had to like really look for it. And even the girl that went with me, she was like also in her 20s at the time. She was like, why do you use tampons? And I was like, why do you not use tampons? And then I was like, okay, like, this was a lot harder to find than it needs to be. Second, a lot of the women that are around me, whether going through infertility or multiple rounds of IVF or endometriosis or any other challenges, the common thread was that they felt alone in their problem. And it's like, as women, we go through different things during different cycles of our lives. And so we're bound to reach some kind of challenge at some point. And then the more that I just immersed myself in women's health and was learning and found out that pretty much almost all products stocked in major retailers where women shop, like Target, CVS, Walgreens, stores like that, all are toxic, even when labeled organic. And so for that to be like, wow, we're purchasing things that can harm our bodies, even though they're like at a very low level, but still when you think about, let's say, using tampons over 40 years, 7 days a week, changing maybe three tampons a day, like we're giving ourselves direct access to things that cause infertility, hormonal disruption, gynecological cancers, to the most absorbent parts of our body, more absorbent than our skin. So I was like, okay, I get to create something, a place where women can shop and feel like anything that she can buy here is trusted and safe, that she feels seen, heard, understood, and fully supported. I mean, I'm sure both of you carry so much, being moms, being trailblazers yourself, and to feel like someone else has got you and one thing is like taken off your plate. I'm sure that's like relief. So
100%.
Wevolva was born.
That's incredible.
It's amazing. It is. And I just think of, not many people know the alternatives to those toxic products. And I think of it even having a teenage daughter myself, and I haven't done that great of a job. So this conversation is timely.
Yeah.
And making sure that she's supported and that we do a better job talking about this than I think historically women have.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, even when I think back when like taking sex ed in middle school meant us watching a video on a woman giving birth and putting a condom on a banana. Like that was the length of it.
It's so backward and it's so unhelpful and not, it blows my mind that we're still teaching people the same things that we've been teaching for years and years and years. And I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, Tammy, but one of my dearest girlfriends is Lauren Wazza, and she lost both her limbs to toxic shock syndrome. She's a model, and she's known as the girl with the golden legs. And she turned her tragedy into real empowerment. And she went after the company that the tampons that she was using at the time that caused the toxic shock syndrome. And when she went down that rabbit hole of finding out why, how did this happen to me? The toxins and the ingredients inside these tampon products have still been in there since 30, 40 years. They haven't changed their anything. And they were also not even after this whole tragedy with her, they still weren't even on a level of saying, well, we might consider changing this. They just were quite happy to make a huge payout, financial payout, which is what these companies do, to shut her up, to silence her, and to continue using the products and selling the products in the way in which they have been doing for 30, 40 years. Yeah. She started a huge movement too. Also the same with contraceptive products that are full of nasty ingredients. And I mean, I don't even know why any child would be given, a hormone pill to help with their skin, which is what they sell it to them as, for acne, and then again causing all of these toxic problems within our bodies. And then your daughters are getting to like 20s, 30s, and then having IVF, or because they can't produce. Every single thing is connected, whether it's through our skin, through the water in bottles, plastic bottles, or whatever it might be. And as Tammy suggested, going into one of the most private and most sensitive areas of our body, the same as the butthole, which we just talked about with our other girlfriend, the Happy Bum Co. It's, those two entry points into the body are so absorbent and that's why we see so many colon cancers and why we see so many infertility issues, because we're wiping our butts with toxic toilet paper. And the same with our vagina area. Everything is put in there, as far as I believe, in my heart and in my soul, and what God tells me. It's all to create customers you know, these people are not patients or people anymore. They're customers, they're consumers. And as long as you make toxic products, you're creating sickness, which then causes to create more wealth. And quite frankly, it has to stop. And this is why we wanted you to come on, Tamy, and talk about it, because people don't talk about it at all. It's the same with Lauren and losing her limbs. Oh, toxic shock syndrome, it doesn't happen all the time. Yes, it does. Just nobody talks about it. And the fact that these big tampon companies still haven't removed some certain ingredients is just, it's shameful. It's as I think I said to you before, Tamy, it's a crime against humanity and a crime against women. And women are the producers of everything. We hold the key to life.
Literally.
There's not going to be any men if without us, you know? So like, I love men and I love women, but like, I love every single human being. But if you don't stop making us women unwell, there's not going to be a population anymore. We're going to wipe it out. They say that the climate's going to wipe us out. That's not going to happen. We're going to wipe ourselves out if we're not careful. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, love it. Love
passionate.
Yeah, but you're speaking from your heart and you're speaking from passion and you're speaking from a place of like, of almost like anger and why is it doesn't have to be like this. Like if they really wanted to, they could make a change, but it's not the case, which is why I love it that there are amazing women that I'm meeting right now that have created companies with such intention to do third-party testing, to make sure that like every single detail of their product is actually truly non-toxic. Yeah.
I think you mentioned something about labeled organic products. And when I looked into this, in this country, I think that the product only has to have 0.01% of an organic ingredient for it to be then allowed to be labeled organic.
Yeah, those loopholes.
Yeah. Which is just absolutely diabolical, because as a consumer who's someone going into a store and they see organic written on the thing, you are trusting in that company and in that product that it is organic. But if you then go and look and do your research, the majority of the time it's actually not true. It's just not true. And I think this is why those apps like Yuka, which we love so much, are really useful, because they will tell you what ingredients are in your products and how harmful they are to you. So yeah, again, I've gone on another tangent, but it's just the labeling is so confusing, and I understand why people get confused. And why is the whole store not organic or safe or non-toxic? Like we're working really hard to make these changes, and we are making huge changes, which is great within the food part. But I need to get Tamy, we need to get people like you in front of these people, the administration, that can make those powerful changes.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
I mean, I think things come off crazy until it's right. Like, I think I was talking to somebody the other day and they're talking about, if you had mentioned microplastics 2 years ago, they're like, you're crazy. Like, why? Same thing with like seed oils. Like, you're crazy. That doesn't matter. But now it's like coming out and there's like, well, there's pretty much a credit card size like of microplastics that we're like consuming per day. Seed oils cause inflammation, and now it's something, but it's say 2 years ago it's considered crazy. And so if that, I'd say continue. And then you're just ahead of the game, and just ahead, and that way you get to like pioneer and spearhead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It can be very soul destroying. And I've got a very dear friend who's going through it right now in the media, who is being absolutely witch hunted, and it's just terrible. And it's because he speaks up and talks quite openly about things that he always has done. Now it's like, because he's getting traction and because people are slightly waking up, and the industry and the world is waking up, the people that want to stop people like you and I and Michelle from having these open conversations and sharing information that maybe that people haven't had before, or information that's kind of hidden from us. They're not going to volunteer this information. We have to go and do it, research it ourselves, which is just crazy. We should be getting this information quite openly so that we can make informed decisions by ourselves. Yet this information is being kept from us.
Definitely. Well, and I think it's a good segue based on what you've been talking about, and just how, Tamy, your products and your brand can help women kind of feel more in control of their bodies and their experiences.
Yeah, great way to put that. Absolutely. Because it's like now you have a choice on what you can choose and go to a place where you can trust that what you're choosing is going to be good for your body. And something that we're planning to roll out is also just courses on the platform. Like right now, it's just intimacy products. We'll be rolling out some more later on, which we can get into. And yes, it's one thing to be able to purchase, but then I think it's another thing to really learn what's happening in our bodies. And like really feel empowered, like, oh, I have full control. I can learn. I know what's going on. And now that I have the resources, I can make the best decision for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these courses that you're talking about, this is something that you could do, maybe with a daughter who's maybe starting her puberty or periods and things like that. We could look into that. Is that something that you do?
Yeah. So as of right now, I plan to have courses that are made by already like doctors, experts, and thought leaders available on the site. So let's say like right now, for example, we have Susan Bratton. That's more on like the intimacy side. I wouldn't say that's for like menstruation. Having her courses available on there for people to learn how to create like deeper intimacy. But I am looking right now into courses for, let's say like for parents to support their kids with menstruation. Also I've met a few single dads. So I'm like, okay, how can I help these dads support their teenage girls in a time where there's so much happening, both mentally, emotionally, and physically? So that's something that we're definitely looking into. Yeah, like what shocks me, or no, I'm not shocked. What upsets me more so is like, let's say when I look at the brands that are being bought the most, and even like I love it that like places like gyms and offices now, even airlines, hotels, have tampons available for women to use and pads, but it's Tampax, and Tampax also is toxic. And so like seeing even on Amazon, like the products that are selling the most, Tampax, always, they're toxic. And so it's still like a transition of like educating, like when I'm speaking to women, I'm asking them, where do they shop? Which brands do they buy? Most of them would say like, Target or Walgreens or CVS. And they're buying like OB or Always or Kotex. And I'm just like, please do not buy those. And I'll give them.
I don't understand.
Yeah. I had a girl send me a photo of the aisle, and she's like, me wondering which one is truly non-toxic. And I'm like, there's one brand on there that you can buy. One. Yeah.
Choosing tampons and having limited options can be really tricky. There's vaginal cups and things like that, but I would imagine there's still a lot of those that are created with toxins in them too. So how do you really know what to do?
I mean, I know like with like the cups, it's medical grade silicone. And so technically it's like, it says it's like a non-transferable product when it comes to toxins. To be honest, that's something I don't 100% know yet. Yes, it's more sustainable because you're not using, let's say, a tampon in the applicator and everything. But when it comes to safety, I think that's something that is still new.
I just wanted to read you something. Tampax is actually owned by Procter & Gamble, and they're the owners of quite a few different ones, and they had misleading marketing on their new Tampax pure cotton tampons. And they're facing, again, multiple lawsuits are being filed against P&G. But what they do is they keep palming off people with money. But they were falsely marketing that they're 100% organic cotton core, was free of dyes, fragrances, and chlorine bleaching. However, it wasn't. So, and the other thing that is the biggest problem within the tampons and these sanitary products is the forever chemicals, which I know that Bobby is working very hard on these forever chemicals in other situations, but it's definitely something that I want to bring up with the team about that, because we should be looking into the feminine products with this forever chemicals too. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Really.
PFAs, forever chemicals, like
exactly.
It's the fact that it's like even in tampons and pads, period underwear. I mean, even extending from our menstruation products, activewear. And that's something that we wear like on a daily basis, and we're sweating and our pores are opening and it's going in our bodies. It's also in our water. PFAs is something I'm very passionate about.
Me too. I just changed all of my, because I mean, I mostly wear organic workout gear anyway, because I've always been like that, and I'm very conscious about where I buy my products from anyhow. But when I was doing my research on yoga and yoga mats and yoga uniforms and all of the things, there is very, very little companies that don't use forever chemicals and PFAs. And as you just said, Tammy, I certainly do. I do hot yoga every day. So I'm not only am I sweating and my pores are opening, all those chemicals are going into my body. And no wonder I have lymphoma, because there's absolutely no reason for someone like me who's been healthy my whole entire life to have something like lymphoma or have any kind of cancer. And it's not hereditary in my family at all. This, to me, I think that's just an excuse. It's the toxins. It's a chemical. There's no reason why I should be sick at all. And when I do my research and look at all the things that I do in order to make myself well, it's coming from that too. Going to yoga, working out on a yoga mat that's toxic. You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's sad.
Inescapable.
It really is inescapable. And that's something where I'm like, I try to even like share with my friends is like, I don't want them to get overwhelmed, because it's really easy to get overwhelmed because it's literally everywhere. And so I'm like, we'll do as best as we can. Like if that means just changing your period products, that means just like changing your non-stick pans to cast iron and stainless steel. If that's changing, your activewear, I'm like, whatever you can like control and whatever you can do, like take it one thing at a time.
I totally agree with you. I think those little small wins, we're doing the best that we can. But when we're in these situations where we have incredible people like you that are just championing for women and championing for the world and just wanting everyone to be the best versions of themselves, it's so important that we put people like you in front of Congress. We put you in front of people that can make those changes and just say, look, absolutely no more.
Yeah.
Like someone said to me the other day, oh, we're making real progress. They're going to clear everything out by 2027. I'm like, it's 2025, guys.
Yeah.
We've still got 6 months of the year left. Let's get it out of it now. Like, why are we saying 2027 or 2029 or by 2030 there will be no, now.
Yeah. Even in, which I love, I'm like, cheers to France. They found like PFAs and like textiles, some of their cosmetics and ski wear. I'm like, okay, I love that because I know it's a culture that loves to ski.
Yeah.
But even then, it was just like to have a full roll up by 2030 of no PFAs and those things. It's like, that's 5 years from now.
I know. And we only have promised today.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out there. Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
5 more years of every product containing that. It's just like, how much more damage is that going to do to somebody's body?
Exactly. In 5 years.
Yeah. So controlling what you control is really all you can do, because Tammy, like you said, it's overwhelming. When I think about the lifestyle that I lead, being outdoors a lot with kids sports and stuff like that. And you know what, we start with our water bottles that are, glass or whatever, but we have to refill them constantly throughout the day. We can't we have to use plastics. I fairly recently had an MRI on a part of my body, and they're like, I know you're wearing leggings, but we don't trust leggings anymore because there's metals in these leggings that are toxins and it can burn you. And it's just like, I hear everywhere about all of these issues. And it's like, I literally try my best in all of the ways that I can, but I know it's not enough because it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. And I think it was one of those things where, yes, I think growth is beautiful, but it was to a point where there's so much growth that there wasn't, I guess, clear control or even knowing that what we were doing is actually harmful. So we're trying to like fix that now, or do the things to fix that now. Yeah.
And I feel like we could probably continue down this path and have a really great rest of the episode, but why don't we talk about something that could be really exciting about sexual wellness?
Yeah.
If we just kind of pivot a little bit to talk about like
Let's pivot.
Pivot.
Yeah. We're cutting out toxins and we're cutting out toxic relationships. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. Well, we should be doing that anyhow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it like being kind of part of a sexual wellness revolution?
You know what? It's very liberating. And I love it because it's just talking about pleasure and intimacy, which is what we all want in our lives. Pleasure, the fact that our bodies are wired to chase after dopamine, which is our pleasure hormone. And also when it comes to intimacy, it's like, as humans, what I love is that we all want love and we all want to find it and we all want to feel it. And like that can't happen without intimacy, or intimacy is a big part of it. And so I love that I get to meet women and try products that get to create deeper intimacy. I just did a podcast episode with the founder. Her name is Sophie. She's amazing. And she created the world's first microbiome friendly lubricant. Which my partner loves. She didn't create it for performance, like a lot of the lubes that you'll see in stores, but for comfort. And I just love the thought. Again, a woman thought of that. She's like, I want you to feel comfortable in this. I want you to feel like you're having a good time. Also knowing that your vaginal pH won't be disrupted in the process. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And so I continue to learn and find more things, and I feel like it's almost this treasure box. Oh, then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. And I think we often think that like intimacy means sex, when intimacy is more than that. It's emotional intimacy. It's relational intimacy. And it's even supported me on creating deeper relationships with the people that matter to me, which has been so rewarding.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. You know, when you think about intimacy or when you think about your sexual health, you really do go straight to sex and pleasure and all of those things. But to really have it meaningful and deep, so to speak, you have to have that connection.
Tammy's getting a little frisky over there.
Deep.
I know, right? Deep. You know, that's really funny. And it keeps coming to me now. I feel like God is talking through me right now. But whenever I hear or see the word intimacy, I see into me, I see.
Yeah.
Feels so nice to say that. It's just, I think you're absolutely right, 100% right. Whenever you hear that word, people automatically think sex. For me, on a spiritual level, on a completely different level, I never had a joyful intimacy experience since I was a little girl, because I had multiple situations of inappropriate things happening. And, you know, I grew up in this industry and was, you know, multiple times had my my childlike stuff removed from me. So I wasn't able to be born. I was not able to grow in a normal way. So intimacy for me was always something very, very frightening. And still to this day, I always wonder, well, why is that person being nice to me? Is that there's like an energy of, is that me being weird, or is that someone being inappropriate? But then when I met Drew, it was like I had never felt comfortable in my body. I'd never felt comfortable with a man, and I never felt comfortable just being intimate without the sex part. And he has taught me that intimacy is into me, I see. And it's really profound and beautiful. And once you get to that point of understanding what that word intimacy means, I think it's just something that we're going to have to relearn and re-educate people on, because I think that, as I said before, it's the first thing they think about is sex. And it's just so far removed from that. It doesn't just mean that. Intimacy is just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it doesn't have to mean the actual act of a sexual act, you know? And I think that's where the word is so blurred and confused. But intimacy is beautiful. It's part of creation, and it's part of a joyful experience. I want to live in a world where I'm just so full of joy because of the things that are around me that are not material things. They're just people creating and behaving in a certain way that just brings pure, unconditional love, so that people can flourish in whatever industry that we're living in or working in, where there's not fear or anxiety attached to those words. You know, like us talking about vaginas and tampons. Like, why do we live in a world where people are like, oh my God, I don't want, you talk to so-and-so about that. You know what I mean? It's weird. Like, I grew up so like open, with no boundaries. I didn't even know what a boundary was, because I didn't understand that there are people in this world that need boundaries in order to stop them doing from something that they think they're allowed to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, oh, I have to learn a boundary now because you can't control yourself.
Yeah, beautifully said. And also, to expand on that too, I think with intimacy, it's like to really feel like truly known and seen. And I don't mean naked in a naked way, but truly naked who we are as people, as a person. And for someone to love us in that place is the beauty of intimacy. And I know I said my partner loves the lube, but right now we're practicing non-penetrative intimacy at the moment. And to be able to practice that with somebody and create that emotional intimacy and just really meeting each other as who we are.
Shared vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's how you build it.
Absolutely.
I think that is so beautiful, Tammy, because I think that everyone just wants to feel seen and heard and appreciated without that it doesn't have to always mean that final act, as it were. But just, holding hands or touching, or can I get you anything? Do you need it? It's intimacy is such a beautiful thing. And the lines are so blurred, I think people just think that it's just that final act is always that. But
yeah,
I love that you're doing that. I think that's beautiful. Is it is there a name for that? It's not Kundalini, is it? Or
no, well, in a way, I want to say maybe in a way it's a little tantric,
tantric.
Just because, to be immersed in the pleasure of life, and just a connection with. But to me, honestly, this was a choice because I've chosen to follow God, and I felt like this was something. I've done everything in my life before without Him, and now that I've chosen to do life with Him, I really see the difference in how beautiful it is. And this was something that I haven't given to Him yet. And finally I just have. And I'm like, I'm going to do it your way. Because like other times I tried to do it my way, it's not been so great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that for sure. God's my best friend.
Literally.
Michelle.
You're like, God is Michelle. God.
Yeah. Like, I think God might be a little higher up.
But that's the thing. It's not about being higher or lower or indifferent. Yeah. It's about just, for me, it's always been, He's never left me. He's always been there. Like, people always said to me when I was a kid, who are you talking to? I'm like, God. Who? What? Who? I'm like, He's my best friend. I run everything by him. I just do.
You can trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you take that, the intimacy and the sexual act, when you hand that to God, it is just so beautiful and so profound.
Oh, I did have a period where I consciously chose to be celibate too. And it was after being in a relationship with a man that crossed a boundary, a physical boundary with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of healing that I had to come out of that, but keeping ourselves and our energy and our bodies clean, because I've also heard that we take on, and like you shared, we take on the energy of our sexual partner.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, do we really want to carry that more and all the other things that we're carrying? Plus also maybe the partners that they're with even before us, like
100%. It's all connected, and it makes so much sense to me. It really does make so much sense. But when I try and explain that to people, especially young girls, like young models that are like, oh, I'm going out tonight, I'm going to hook up, I'm like, this hookup culture right now, I'm like, do you understand why on a Wednesday after you've been out for the weekend that you feel like on a Wednesday, because you're having like all of this energy release from alcohol, drugs, sexual partners, all of these things that's creating this almost like depression within your body after the weekend. And they're not getting, they're missing that link of the connection between that person or that drug or that alcohol or whatever that's keeping us away from our spiritual mission. Yeah. But it's so annoying to me that I sound like this now, because I believe I sound like my parents. And I never, I mean, I love my parents. I mean, my dad's ascended many years ago, and I love my mother today. It's like, once you figure this out and once it sort of clicks and you have, you know, multiple spiritual awakenings and light bulb moments, you can't unsee it. But try explaining that to someone that isn't suffering, someone that is just having a really good time right now, or they think they're having a really good time until they hit their rock bottom, you know. It's wild to me.
And I think everyone will have their own journey. We just get to live it. We just get to live our lives as how we are now, and hope that like their time will come, their awakening will come. And then they'll understand when they see you in your fullness. I
think we have to be examples. You know, I always like to say, like, I like to plant a seed and then I turn around and walk away, or I water or I nurture. But I never want to, and I think I said this to you before, Tammy, I never want to like ram it down someone's throat, because, you know, like religion, if you ram something down someone's throat, they're going to run in the opposite direction. And that's not helpful, because we should be examples of what God's work is, which is, you know, love, light. I see you, you see me. You need something. You need someone to talk to. I'm always here. Send me a text. I've always got 12 minutes. Like, those kind of examples builds and creates a safe space for people to then return and reach out. And more often than not, I'd say 9 times out of 10, people have returned. I'm just the container that showed you how amazing you are. That's my superpower. I know that. But I get that superpower from God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we just need to change the narrative in this world. And it's baby steps, because we're still living in a very toxic world where, you know, sex, porn, all of that stuff is very, very advertised.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that, Tammy? I can feel it.
I would say, like, I think I live in such a bubble, because I hear what you're saying, and then I'm like, now with internet, and even my little cousins are like, I'm like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? He's like, a YouTube star. I'm like, okay. But I feel like I live in such a bubble, because even the men around me, bless them, they've healed my own wounds that I've had. They don't watch porn, and they advocate for their other male friends to also not watch porn.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think there's an emergence of these men and women who are wanting to create a different world. And I am excited to see where it'll be in like 5 years.
Me too.
As things are shifting and people are waking up more and wanting to live a more whole life. Yeah.
I mean, Russell's a great example of that, actually, because he was a self-confessed sex addict, alcoholic, drug addict, all of the things. And I think I told you, Tammy, when I got baptized in 2022, 21, I just, even though I had already been baptized, I wanted to just be like, okay, we got this. Let's do this. If I'm leaving this physical vessel now, I just want to know that I did everything I could to prepare myself to be with God again.
Yeah.
Which is why I did it. I wanted to, if I was going to leave, I wanted to make sure that I was doing it. I had stamped that thing, I'm doing this. And when I shared that with Russell, he was like, oh, should I, maybe I should be doing this. Maybe I should be doing this. He got baptized and now look what's happened. I mean, he's an advocate for men and women to be intimate on a beautiful, spiritual, godlike way. And that is not the man that we knew. It's incredible, actually. This man has had such a huge transformation. And the same with Justin Bieber. I know that he's struggling right now, but he had such a profound transformation when he felt liberated against all of the horrible things that we're learning about that happened to him. You know, and he's always been very close to God. And I think it's really, really important that people know this. I know that people shun away from religion and spirituality because they think it's not for them, or, you know, they haven't suffered enough. I just think if you just gave it a chance, you know, things would change so dramatically in this world. And I'm not talking about people that are, you know, that are holier than now, like, oh, well, you're not practicing this or you're not going to church or whatever. It's God forgives everything. That's the point. If you're not in church on Sunday, it's fine, because you can go to God, you can go to church anytime day of the night. You don't actually have to go into a physical church to be with God. And that's what I think is so beautiful.
Yeah. You can do that right now.
I know. Yeah.
So I want to just go circle back to something you said just a minute ago, Tammy, with how the men in your life are choosing not to, you know, watch porn and are advocating for that. And I'm curious, with your products, how do you help support that decision? Or, you know, if you've got people who have been together for many years and they're looking to keep things active and intimate and all the different ways, how do your products support that? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I feel like a lot of the women that are coming to me have been in relationships for a little longer, married, and they're wanting to spice things up in the bedroom. They're like, well, like, should we get lube? Should we get toys? Should we do this? And often I will point them in the direction, like, so you can get lube, you can definitely get toys. But what I do love is, so there's a woman facilitator named BB. BB's wonderful. Susan Bratton's also wonderful, because the way that their teachings are and their courses are about creating deeper intimacy before going into sex. And I think sometimes being in a long-term relationship, we often find we know this person through and through. And so there's a bit of comfort that comes with that. And so with this, it's like getting to re-explore this intimacy and creating like even more emotional depth than what currently exists, which then has better sex. So I always point them in that direction. Again, like with doing, whether it's like workshops with them that they have, retreats, or going through their courses.
That's so cool. So you do retreats as well? Or you point people in the direction of retreats? Yeah,
I point them in directions of the retreats. Like BB has like a container for couples and for single women. And so I point them in that direction. And also with Susan, she has at-home videos that you can watch. So if you want to have like a spicy date night and you can do this with your partner.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool, mate. Well,
Even like what I love with Susan is that with her work, it's about heart-centered lovemaking. And even her approach on dirty talk, it's not like it's not like you saying like, oh, you're so big or whatever. It's adoring the person that's in front of you. So for example, like it's like Michelle, it's like the way that you're able to hold the space so beautifully and lead us in a way that moves us forward, and how you radiate, and Campbell, how you speak from your heart to share truth, and just really acknowledging the person that they are in a way that is like juicing them up.
Yeah.
It could definitely be a turn on to be adored and to feel a deeper connection, rather than saying, you know, the traditional things that I think people have been conditioned to think they have to say.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's a time and place for it, of course, and there's also this way of talking dirty as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
I feel like there's like multiple versions of me with Drew, for example. Like, there's the, you know, very spiritual, like, I adore you, you're like a god, you're a god, like, oh my God. Like, I made a joke, and it's like, God, it's like you're photoshopped or something. It's from that movie, you know. I'm like, what the world?
Yeah, it's like your Photoshop.
I know. And we literally had that conversation. I was like, it's like you're photoshopped.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's that fun element into it. But then there's also those times where we just want to just hold each other and hug each other and just lay with each other. And then there's times where we do want to just be a little bit spicy, like this usually in the city when we're in New York. But there's different levels of intimacy and different characters, I guess, that you can play, but it's still the same person.
Yeah.
But I love that you said that, because I think it's just us relearning and re-educating people and having a different narrative for different situations and scenarios. You know what I mean? I just, it's like one thing, like wham bam, thank you ma'am situation. That's not what every man or woman wants. I know not every woman wants that, but I know that also men too. I think that men think that they have to be a certain way and they have to do a certain thing, and you know, and it's from the porn culture. Actually, that's not how it is. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like when you think like that's like where a lot of these men are like learning how to have sex is like through porn. And it's like fast food. It's like, it's quick, it's easy, it's self-fulfilling. And so we want like gourmet lovemaking.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
We want the filet mignon of lovemaking.
Yeah. Michelin star lovemaking. It's like a long process.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes. So tell us what's next for Wevolva. So you mentioned you've got some new products coming and current products that exist, development and all of that stuff. So tell us what's next.
Yeah. So really excited right now. You know, intimacy is live. You can buy yoni eggs, crystal wands, lubricants, intimacy oils. And next, rolling out each of the life cycles. So menstruation will go live, fertility, pregnancy, menopause, and then vaginal health. And so when the site is complete and everything, then she'll be able to be fully supported from menstruation all the way to menopause. So that's in the works. And also developing a perimenopause and menopause product. So over the summer, I happened to stumble across something in nature, and it has been clinically proven to reduce symptoms. And so right now working on creating that. It's a process, but I'm really excited about that one just because perimenopause and menopause is an area that even when I was speaking with like oncologists and like GYNs, they're like, they spent maybe 4 hours their entire education just on that.
So
and
true.
Wow.
So now that we're living longer, we're having more women that are in that phase of their lives. But also, it's like perimenopause starts 10 years before menopause even hits. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And like, it's all of the mental systems, like symptoms, brain fog, forgetfulness, mood swings. And then menopause is more of the physical things that are happening to our bodies. And so being able to treated and supported earlier on could support with just a smoother menopause process. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I love that it's kind of like the whole woman. And it seems like we're seeing a shift in women in society who are willing to hear and talk about these things more. And I don't know if it's just because of my age and stage, or my feed is filled with a lot of topics on perimenopause and things like that. It just seems like there are people who are talking about it more. And I think you hit the nail on the head that most trained medical practitioners have not had extensive training in this and have not been able to adequately support women up until now this movement is happening. And, you know, I would say the same is true with gut health and things like that. They just weren't talked about in medical training. And now we're seeing this shift to doctors educating themselves and doing their own research to better support women, people in general.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a great time to be a part of the movement. And it seems like you're a bit ahead of the curve and are actually continuing that, staying ahead of the curve. So for women everywhere, which I think are primarily who will listen to us, like, pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention to Tamy, pay attention to her products and her site, because she's here for you and what your needs actually are.
It's really beautiful, Tamy. You're like such a change maker. It's really beautiful. You should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you both so much. Both of you saying that is like filling my heart. Like, you're pouring into me right now. So thank you. I feel truly lucky that, like, this is what I get to do. Like, I get to talk about vaginas and stuff. But gift that I've been given. And yeah, it's been a process. And so I'm just excited to continue to birth more of this as we go on. I feel grateful that I get to do this.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
So where can everybody find you?
Yeah. So the Instagram is Wevolva. So it's WEVOLVA. And then the website is also wevolva.com.
And we'll make sure Michelle and us will get it all linked and everything to you. I love you. I believe in you. You've always been such a beautiful addition to my life. And I feel like the reason that Michelle and I wanted to do this podcast was really to champion for people that have seen me and seen her and have supported our growth and our life and really lifted us up when nobody else did. And this is why we wanted to create the Wellnest, because we're bringing everything back to ourselves, to our container, and using our little tidbits and our people to create this abundance within ourselves. And you know, Tamy, you're one of them.
Thank you. Thank you both for even, you know, putting in the time and the effort to do the Wellness podcast, to advocate for this and have the conversations, because I mean, podcasts like yours give people the access to the knowledge and to know and to have the awareness and expand. Yeah. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for putting in the time as well. I really, really appreciate it, because I know it's not easy for everyone to have these, like, we've all got busy schedules with mums, with, you know, creating vagina products and everything. But like, it's really, really beautiful. And I really do believe when you put in that time and that effort to, you know, to be of service to others, this is when the abundance and a life beyond your wildest dreams becomes apparent.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that came to mind right now. I'll say it quickly. I love the story of Esther in the Bible. And there's this quote where it talks about, you've been put in your royal position for such a time as this. And I truly feel that we're all here for such a time as this. Like, the fact that there's all of this coming up and people are open and willing, and a lot of people are like moving in that direction. Like, how lucky that we get to be here for such a time as this and advocate and make change and be here for it.